या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. Okay, so we'll first have a bhajan. We'll start with Aishwarya and then we will follow with Malini.
Hari Om. Hംಸವಾಹಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೀಣಾ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ಹಂಸವಾಹಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೀಣಾ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ಭಾವರಾಗ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಲಯತಾಳ ಬೋಧಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ಭಾವರಾಗ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಲಯತಾಳ ಬೋಧಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೇಗವಾಹಿನಿ ಶುಭ ಪ್ರದಾಯಿನಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾದಾಯಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೇಗವಾಹಿನಿ ಶುಭ ಪ್ರದಾಯಿನಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾದಾಯಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಧರ್ಮ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಣಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಮೋಕ್ಷ ಪ್ರದಾಯಿನಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಿನಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಮಾ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಧರ್ಮ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಣಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಮೋಕ್ಷ ಪ್ರದಾಯಿನಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ವಿಘ್ನ ವಿನಾಶಿನಿ ಜಯತಿ ಜಯತಿ ಮಾ ಹಂಸವಾಹಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೀಣಾ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ ವೀಣಾ ವಿನೋದಿನಿ ಶಾರದೆ.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya. We'll now pass it on to Malini.
Tripura Sundari Napaine Dayayulchumu Aparimita Anandamritavashini Tripura Sundari Napaine Dayayulchumu Aparimita Anandamritavashini Tripura Sundari Napaine Dayayulchumu Aparimitanandamritavashini Tripura Sundari Napaine Dayayulchumu Aparimitanandamritavashini Tripura Sundari Napaine Nidayayulchumu Aparataya nidhe Aparataya nidhe Aparataya nidhe Niveyari namme Aparataya nidhe Niveyari namme Aparataya nidhe Aparununevariini apekshim paleda Aparununevariini వర్షింపలేదా త్రిపుర సుందరి నాపైనే దయయుచుము అపరిమితానందామృతవర్షిణి త్రిపుర సుందరి నాపై నిదయయుచుము గౌరిని పాదము భక్తితో పూజింప క్రమమును తెలియనే పరమ పామరుడే గౌరిని పాదము భక్తితో పూజింప క్రమమును తెలియనే పరమ పామరుడే వారి చలోచని వారి చలోచని వారి చలోచని వారి చలోచని వారి చలోచని వేగమే వచ్చి వారి చలోచని వేగమే వచ్చి వారి చలోచని వేగమే వచ్చి కోరిన వరములు నొసగుములలిదమ్మా కోరిన వరములు నొసగుములలిదమ్మా త్రిపుర సుందరి నాపైనే దయయుచుము అపరిమితానందామృతవర్షిణి త్రిపుర సుందరి నాపై దయయుచుము
Thank you. Thank you. To those of you who are here, we will be doing our bhajans, throughout the next couple of days. So if anyone would like to also sing Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you can send me a message on chat and we'll contact you. So today is the second day of Navaratri, and we continue with the power of strength. Now, yesterday we talked about the strength of a mother. So we talked about the strength of a mother, and we saw Gautami, how she dealt with a child that she lost, a child that she lost for good, someone who was never coming back. How her foresight was so deep, and she stood to her convictions and she didn't waver. And no matter what, she stuck to her Dharma. Today, we're going to see strength in a wife. And this is how Durga Devi manifests herself in all of our various roles. The role of our wife in Sanatana Dharma is incredibly important because she is Ardhangini, she is Sahadharmacharini, means she walks side by side with her husband in this life to pursue the ultimate truth. The institution of marriage is so sacred in that the purpose of marriage in our Sanatana Dharma is really to dissolve the ego. That's the purpose of marriage. It's a institute which dissolves the ego. There are many other things also, but this is the main one. How so is that when a man and a woman unite, or they have this bond together, they commit to each other, what happens is, for example, as a person who was only thinking for myself, thinking for my own well-being, which is what happens mostly when we grow up. We just think of our own selves. When a being gets married, they start to think for two. It starts to be like, okay, there's me and there's somebody else here. So what happens is that ego gets diminished, and now I'm ready to embrace somebody else. And so my sense of love is expanding. It's expanding. My ego is diminishing. My sense of love is expanding. And then when that couple also has children, what happens is again the ego dissolves and again they expand to greater heights, because now we cannot definitely think only for two people. What do two people want to do? We have to think for three people or four people. And when you have grandkids, even more. So the purpose of marriage is that slowly that ego dissolves, and then that married couple, that wife and husband, now having dissolved their ego in their own families, going beyond their own likes and dislikes, they also go on to serve the community. So this is the main purpose. Of course, the secondary purpose is progeny and upliftment of society and service to society. But this is the role of a wife in Hindu Dharma. Also, you can see the role of a husband. Today, the wife that we're going to see is someone very special, and her name is Maitri. Maitri comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And in fact, the section is named after her. It's called Maitreyi Brahmana. She comes in the 2nd chapter, in the 4th Brahmana, in the 4th chapter, in the 5th Brahmana. Both sections are pretty similar. There's some additions in the 4th chapter, but it's so important that it comes twice in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So what is this story of Maitri? The first part is that she is married to Yajnavalkya. So Rishi Yajnavalkya, this famous Rishi, has two wives, Maitri and Katyayani. And Rishi Yajnavalkya now, he's the knower of the self. He's a knower of truth because he clearly gives Upadesha or teachings in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad to different students. So he's the knower of truth and he's a Grahastha. He's married. So first of all, we must understand that in Grahastha, we can also know this Brahman, know this ultimate reality. It's not a limitation. So what happens is, Yajnavalkya, he knows the truth, but yet he wishes to take sannyasa. So he wishes to take what is called vidvat sannyasa. Means he wishes to let go of everything physically, in a physical sense, because he just wants to establish himself in this truth and revel in that bliss. So he wants to physically let go of everything. And we all know in our Hindu Dharma, this is a stage of life. Sannyasa is a stage of life for everybody. After brahmacharya, then grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyasa, or the life of a renunciate. So Yajnavalkya here approaches Maitri and he tells her, Maitri, I want to renounce now. I want to renounce this life physically. Mentally, he's renounced. He's already independent. But physically, I want to now take up this sannyasa. So let's see the dialogue starting from there. Okay. Let me share this with you. So, strength of Maitri. So first he comes to Maitri and he approaches her, Maitri iti ho vacha Yajnavalkya. So Maitri said Yajnavalkya, Udyasyan va are aham asmat sthanat asmi. So he says, I am about to renounce this life, all these worldly things, possessions, I'm about to renounce. But, when somebody is in grahastha, they must seek permission of their spouse before they renounce. Cannot just renounce like that. And he says, Hanta te anaya katyayanyantam karvani ti. Means, I will actually end the relationship with you and Katyayani. So what does he mean by this? What he means by this is that now he is going to be a full renunciate. So he is no longer considered to be a husband. So they will not anymore be co-wives. And in this spirit, he says that now I want to divide everything between you and Katyayani. So all that I have, all the wealth that I've earned, I'll divide it between the two of you. And this is the spirit with which he comes to Maitri. Now, the first strength of Maitri is her strength of acceptance. Imagine someone you love so dearly, your own husband, or your wife even. Sometimes a wife will renounce. Your partner comes to you and says, now I'm leaving. I want to leave everything and go. The first instinct to many of us will be, why you want to leave and go? Stay with me. We want to hold people close to us for security purposes. We want to keep people by our side because we're afraid to let them go. Especially when someone is going for a higher pursuit. It happens when the kids go to college. We'll say, no, you study college in this area. Don't go to the other coast or other place because then I won't have you. Because we want to protect our security. We're not really thinking, what is the benefit for the other person? What does the other person need? But Maitri was not like that. She was just there, listening to Yajnavalkya. She did not have any emotional ups and downs. She just listened there to what he was saying. And she understood that now he's seeking a higher life without me. And that's okay. And that's okay because we all have to progress on the path. And so she pauses. She doesn't react, but she gives a very, very beautiful response, which shows her insight. So her first strength is just to accept this news and not try to keep him right beside her and protect her own emotional security. Her second strength is her foresight. Now just see what she says. She says here, Yannu me iyam bhagoho sarva prithvi vitena purnasyat katham tena amritasyam. She says, if indeed this whole earth full of wealth will be mine, should I be immortal through that? So this is her strength of dispassion. She says, Yajnavalkya, you're giving me all of this wealth. Now, mind you, some people will ask, how much are you giving? How much are you giving? Are you giving equal share? Are you giving me more? What else am I getting from you? Show me the will. So many people will ask all of these questions. How much am I getting? What is the will? What's there for me? She's not even thinking about that. She says, if this whole world is full of wealth, if it comes to me, will I really be immortal? Means she's saying, Yajnavalkya, you're giving up something to gain something higher. Why are you giving that to me? It must be lower. And she was clearly seeking higher immortality. Now, what is this immortality she was seeking? See, immortality, when we think about it, it doesn't mean the longevity of the body. It doesn't mean that this body will go on to live forever. Immortality means understanding our immortal self, because mortality is this realm of change, right? In every step of the way, there is mortality. There is actual death, which is change. What do we mean? Birth, the baby dies into a toddler. It's a kind of death. It's a change. It's a kind of death. The baby dies into a toddler. The toddler dies. That stage dies into a young child. That child stage dies into one of adolescence. So everything is dying to another thing. Everything has mortality. The body has mortality because the stages die. They die at every couple of so years, that stages die. The mind also has mortality because the stages of the mind also die. Our memory before may not be as good as our memory now. Our sharpness before may not be as good as it is now. So even our memory, our sharpness, certain qualities, they also died and new things came. So mortality means whenever we identify with this body, mind, intellect, when we identify with what is mortal, then we are mortal. Immortality means when we realize that we are that immortal self. So she's thinking that, listen, with everything that you're going to leave for me, will I really be fulfilled? All of these things will constantly change. Wealth will also go, property will also go, everything will constantly die. Will I really get that fulfilled? And this was her strength of dispassion. So she asks this to Yajnavalkya. And then, furthermore, she says, Yena aham na amritasyam kimaham tena kuryam yadeva bhagavan veda tadeva me bruhi. She says, what shall I do with that which will not make me immortal? Tell me, Venerable Sir or Bhagavan, tell me of that which you know. So now, here's her strength of inquiry and surrender. So what happens here is this. Yajnavalkya tells her, you know, Maitri, that wealth will not make you immortal. It definitely will not make you immortal. In fact, he says wealth will just give you some kind of pleasure, some kind of comfort that will go. That's all you'll get. You'll get maybe a better quality life, but not more than that. And if we read in Atma Purana, Yajnavalkya says that even wealth sometimes makes you forget that ultimate self. Because wealth, a lot of wealth can plunge us into so much pleasure that we forget why we're here. So sometimes what Bhagavan does is he takes away our wealth so that we actually ask, where is God? How do I get home from here? So Yajnavalkya says, there's no hope absolutely for immortality through wealth. And he makes it clear to Maitri. Then Maitri says, okay, that's fine. There's no hope for immortality through wealth, but there's something you know. Whatever it is you know that will make me immortal, that you tell me. Don't tell me about all this inheritance, what I'm going to inherit, that you're leaving all this stuff. You tell me what will make me immortal. You give me that knowledge. And here, very beautifully, we see that Maitri has the spirit of inquiry and surrender. It is said that even before, she used to always question, why am I here? What am I doing? What is this role? She has that fire of inquiry and willing also to learn from her husband. So many times, with this wife and husband relationship, there's that sense of ego. The husband doesn't want to learn from the wife doesn't want to learn from the husband. At some points, there are some things that the husbands can learn from the wife, and they should learn. And there are some things that the wives can learn from the husband, and they should learn. We see in Yoga Vasishta, in the story of Chudalaka. Chudalaka was a realized queen. She had the knowledge of herself, and she exuded it in her daily life. But her husband, Shikidvaja, did not have that knowledge, and he refused to learn from her. So eventually he retires to the forest, and she has to go in disguise as a Brahmin to teach him the knowledge of the self. Because of that ego, that refusal to learn. But Maitri here, she gives up that ego. She says, no, in this aspect, you know more than I know. And it takes a really strong person to surrender. So she says, that which you know, you tell me. That's what I want to know. And when she becomes a student, her husband takes the role of guru. And now her husband, after this, then the husband is ready to give the Upadesha to Maitri. Now, mind you, the Upadesha, to take the knowledge of the self is not for a faint heart. One has to be really, really strong at heart to take the knowledge of the self. Especially this message which Yajnavalkya will now share. So now he's opening up to her, and she's ready to take it on. So we see here now, he gives this beautiful line. Now it's a whole, a whole lot of lines, but I just took the main one here. He says, Nava are sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Which means it's not for the sake of all, my dear, that all is loved, but for one's own sake that it is loved. Yajnavalkya says this. And she has the strength to face this truth. So what did Yajnavalkya really tell her? Yajnavalkya told her this. It is not for the sake of the husband that the wife loves the husband, but it's for her own sake alone. And it is not for the sake of the wife that the husband loves the wife. It is for his sake alone. He was telling her that the reason we love other people is only for our own sake. We love someone or we love something because they give us joy. So we love our husband or wife, not because they're a husband or wife, but because they give us joy. We love our children, not because they are our children, but because they give us joy. And in fact, the moment that person stops giving us joy, that love also drops. Actually, this notion of unconditional love, it's not there. We say it's there, but it's not there. It's only there in a realized being, in a knower of Brahman, in the one who has realized the truth. It's not there. Because we love other people because they make us happy. We love the children. Yes, we care for the children. We want them to be well. We want them to feel okay. But in that, there's also a personal interest. It's because they're feeling okay, they're being well will make us peaceful. There's always that self-interest there in every single relationship. So we want them to go to a good school. We want them to get high grades because people will also say that that's your child. So our love for others is really a reflection of wanting to fulfill ourselves. This is what the Upanishad says. We love someone because they give joy to us. The more joy they give to us, the more we love them. The less joy they give to us, the less we love them. Somebody who we say we truly, truly loved at one moment, we want to be away from the next moment. So he says it's not for the sake of everything that everything is loved, but it's for your own sake. Now, so with this kind of knowledge, what is he trying to tell us? He's trying to tell us that I love others because they give me happiness, right? And I love others for my own sake. So I love others for my own sake means, point number one, I love myself the most. It's a fact that I love myself the most. And I love only that which gives me happiness, right? Because we love others because they give us happiness. So point number two, I love that which gives me happiness. So then point number three, I must be the source of that happiness, right? I love myself the most. I only love what makes me happy. Therefore, I must be that seat of happiness. I must be that source of happiness. And therefore, that self must be sought. Don't seek those other objects, those other relationships, those other beings. Seek the self, because it is for the sake of the self that we love them. And so he gave this Upadesha to Maitri. And so she has to have a very strong heart to take something like this. And so therefore, he says, because everything is for the sake of the self, what happens now? He says, seek self. Atma va are drashtavyaha, shrotavyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitavyaha maitri. Atmano va are darshanena, shravanena, matya vijnanena, idam sarvam vididam. So he tells her the self should be realized. This is the purpose of life. The self should be realized. It should be heard of, reflected on, and meditated upon. By the realization of the self alone, my dear, through hearing, reflection, and meditation, all this is known. And so here, he knew, Yajnavalkya knew that Maitri had the strength to pursue the truth. And that's why he told her this message. He said, this is what is to be done with life. And after this, Yajnavalkya goes on to explain all of this to Maitri. He explains to her how the self alone is actually everything. The self is the origin of everything. It's the dissolution point of everything. It's a substratum of everything. And that there is actually no duality. There is no other. And when asked how is the self to be known, he tells her, neti, neti, not this, not this. Means it's not the gross body, it's not the subtle body, it's not the causal body, but it is that self which remains after everything has been taken away. That is the self. And so Yajnavalkya goes on to give this Upadesha to Maitri. And after this Upadesha or teaching to Maitri, what does Yajnavalkya do? He gets up and he takes his sannyas. He leaves. Now, more interestingly, what does Maitri do? She also gets up and she leaves. So not only does she get this knowledge and understand it, not only does she become a knower of truth, but she also seeks to establish herself in this knowledge, and she renounces all of her material possessions. And she goes, she doesn't have the outward signs of a sannyasini, but exactly the same way that Yajnavalkya wandered as a mendicant, she also did the same thing to establish herself in this reality. And that is the strength of fearlessness. To go around not knowing where we would sleep, where we would eat, how we would live life, what circumstances would be there. That takes a lot of guts. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of trust. She had a lot of trust that whatever will happen due to her prarabdha karma will happen. That was Maitri. She just walked out into uncertainty fearlessly because she knew the truth. And ultimately, this is what we all ought to do in terms of realizing the truth, in terms of really understanding it. So let's just take a brief recap into Maitri's strength. The first one we saw was really her strength of acceptance. When Yajnavalkya gives her this news that he's leaving, she accepted it and she understood. The second strength we saw was really her dispassion. She said that, yeah, this wealth which you yourself are leaving, what will I do with it? Will it make me immortal? Then she has the strength of inquiry. She says, not only does she ask if wealth will bring her immortality, but she tells him, whatever it is that you know, you tell me, because I want to know. I want to know what you know. And she surrenders with humility. And after that, she has the strength to know the truth. So Yajnavalkya tells her what it is, the truth about life, that we really all love ourselves the most. And therefore, the self is the only thing to be sought. And she had that strength to take that upadesha, to take all of that in and to listen patiently. And finally, she also had the strength of fearlessness. As Yajnavalkya also walked out, she also walked out in her own journey. So today, while we do our Durga Puja, we celebrate the strength of such wonderful wives who are strong, in their own right. Okay, all right. So now we'll go forward with the puja. Those of you who are performing the puja with us, kindly, put your video on so that I can see you and I'm able to do this with you. All right. Okay, I see Nitya's here. Very good, Nitya. I may ask you to repeat some things for me. Yeah? Okay, good. All right. Yes. So let us start now. We'll start by Vigneshwara Tihanam. Om Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Atha Achamanam. We'll do the Achamanam now. So take some water in your palm. Om Keshavaya Swaha. And you sip. Om Narayanaya Swaha. Om Madhavaya Swaha. For the last one, you drop it in the plate. Om Govindaya Namaha. You can touch your ear. Okay. Now we'll do the pranayama. So again, we'll close the left nostril, hold the breath for 33 ohms, and then breathe out through the left nostril. Okay, so this is so we have some focus and concentration while doing puja. Now we will do the sankalpa. So take some rice and flour in your hand. And we'll chant the sankalpa. So on the right hand, cup it on the left, put on the right knee. Om Namo Pata Samasta Duritakshaya Dvara Shri Parameshwari Prityartham Asmin Shubhadine Shubhamuhurte Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham Vidya Vinaya Praptyartham Shri Sadguru Prasada Siddhyartham Cha Dhyana Vahanadi Shodashopacharaihi Shri Bhagavati Devi Pujam Karishye. Offer that to Devi. Doing this puja for knowledge, for dispassion, devotion, of course, strength. Now we'll ring the bell in case there are any negative tendencies in the mind or in the atmosphere. We'll make sure that they go away. Now we'll do Ganesha and Guru Smarana. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Now we will do the Tihanam of Devi. We'll start the 16 steps of the puja, Shodashopachara. Sarvamangala-mangalye Shive Sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Now we'll do the Avahanam. So touch your left hand on your heart, your right hand, Devi's picture, and we are essentially invoking her from our hearts to come into this image so that we can worship her. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Avahayami. Okay. Now, Atha Asana. We will offer her a seat. So you can take a flower or akshata to offer her a seat. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Asanam Samarpayami. Devi has come. She has sat down. We will now wash her feet and her hands, and then we'll give her some water. So first we'll do the feet. Athapadyam. Take some water. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Padyam Samarpayami. Then we'll now wash our hands. Atha Aragyam. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Aragyam Samarpayami. Now we'll give her some water to drink. Atha Achamanam. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Achamanam Samarpayami. Now we'll give her a bath. So you can take a flower and sprinkle some water. Put water in it and then sprinkle it on the image you have. Or if you have a form, you can do Abhisheka. Atasnanam. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Snanam Samarpayami. And you can make sure to dry her picture. So that's now we can prepare our vastra. So if you have some cloth to offer Devi or a piece of cotton, you can also do that. Today I have some bangles for Devi, so I'll be offering that. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Vastram Samarpayami. Now we'll offer her some chandan, kumkum, whatever it is that you have at home. Ataganda lepanam. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Divya Gandhan Dharayami. Gandhasya upari kumkumam samarpayami. And now we'll offer her akshata. Ata akshata. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha Akshatan Samarpayami. Then now we'll offer her a flower. Ata pushpam. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Pushpam Samarpayam. And now we'll do the Archana. So I will chant the name, then Nitya, maybe you can chant after me. And while we're doing this, you can offer anything that you want. In the Namaha, so you take it, and then in the Namaha, then you offer it to Durga Devi. And then those who are at home, you can also do, and also touch your heart. When we do this, we are invoking her qualities in us. Om Shriye Namaha.
Om Shriye Namaha.
Om Umaye Namaha.
Om Umaye Namaha.
Om Bharatye Namaha.
Om Bharatye Namaha.
Om Bhadraye Namaha.
Om Bhadraye Namaha.
Om Sharvanye Namaha.
Om Sharvanye Namaha.
Om Vijayaye Namaha.
Om Vijayaye Namaha.
Om Jayaye Namaha.
Om Jayaye Namaha.
Om Vanye Namaha.
Om Varnye Namaha.
Om Sarvagataye Namaha.
Om Sarvagataye Namaha.
Om Gaurye Namaha.
Om Gaurye Namaha.
Om Varahye Namaha.
Om Varahye Namaha.
Om Kamalapriyaye Namaha.
Om Kamalapriyaye Namaha.
Om Saraswatye Namaha.
Om Saraswatye Namaha.
Om Kamalaye Namaha.
Om Kamalaye Namaha.
Om Mayaye Namaha.
Om Mayaye Namaha.
Om Matangye Namaha.
Om Matangye Namaha.
Om Aparaye Namaha.
Om Aparaye Namaha.
Om Ajaye Namaha.
Om Ajaye Namaha.
Om Shankabharye Namaha.
Om Shankaparye Namaha.
Om Shivaye Namaha.
Om Shivaye Namaha.
Om Chandaye Namaha.
Om Chandaye Namaha.
Om Kundalye Namaha.
Om Kundalye Namaha.
Om Vaishnavye Namaha.
Om Vaishnavye Namaha.
Om Kriyaye Namaha.
Om Kriyaye Namaha.
Om Shriye Namaha.
Om Shriye Namaha.
Om Aindraye Namaha.
Om Aindraye Namaha.
Om Madhumatye Namaha.
Om Madhumatye Namaha.
Om Shri Durgaye 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 Namaha.
So now that we've done that, we've invoked all the glories and qualities of Sri Durga Devi in our hearts. Now we will prepare for her to eat and for her to enjoy. So we will light the agarbati. Atadhupam. In your own homes, you take the agarbati, light it. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Dhupam samarpayami. It's very nice to see happening in your houses. Okay. Now we'll do the deepa. So if you have a deepa, you can light it. We'll offer it to her. Atha deepaha. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Deepam samarpayami. Nice. And now we'll have to feed her. So whatever naivedyam you have, we can prepare it and bring it in front of her and offer her. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Naivedyam nivedayami. Om Pranaya Swaha. Panaya Swaha. Dhyanaya Swaha. Danaya Swaha. Samanaya Swaha. Om Brahmane Swaha. Brahmane Swaha. Brahmane Swaha. Okay. So now that she's eaten, now we will do the Mangala Nirajanam. So you can take your Arti Thali and we'll do the Mangala Nirajanam. Ata Mangala Nirajanam. Om Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam. Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoya Magnihi. Tameva Bhantamanubhati Sarvam. Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. Uli Shri Durga Ma Ki Jai. So everyone can take Aarti. And we tell Devi that you are the light of our lives. And it's because of your light, we are all able to know. We are all able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Now, before the conclusion of the puja, we will entertain Devi. So we will have our Rajopachara by Maitreyi. She will sing one bhajan and will entertain Devi. I see Sahana is also there. So lovely. Maitreyi, we can't hear you.
Can you hear us now? Sorry, thank you. Sangita Samraja Sancharini. Sangita Samraja Sancharini. Shringara Shringeri Puravasini. Sangita Saraja Sancharini. Shringara Shringeri Puravasini. Sangita Saraja Sancharini. Unnata Panya Niranavasini. उन्नत पाण्ड्या केरलवासिनी सन्नुतश्री चक्र मार्गनिवासिनी कालने शङ्कर हृदय निवासिनी कालकल्पालक ब्रह्म विश्वासिनी कालने शङ्कर हृदय निवासिनी कालने पालक ब्रह्म विश्वासिनी संगीत साम्राज्य संचारिणी गान्धार पंचम दैवतरूपिणी निर्माण रहित लावण्य रूपिणी मंदार कुसुमा मणिमय तेजो मंदार कुसुमा मणिमय तेजो माधुर्य मोहन राग स्वरूपिणी संगीत साम्राज्य संचारिणी सरसरागरस सकल कला हंसधूलिका कल्पसिते सुरगणादि मुनि ब्रह्मार्चित रक्षकिल्लर गाननुदे वरद वामकर वीणा वादन पाद पुस्तक गाननुदे शरच्चन्द्रिका मुख कमले बहुविध मंगल फल प्रदे संगीत साम्राज्य संचारिणी श्रृंगार श्रृंगेरी पुरवासिनी संगीत साम्राज्य संचारिणी संचारिणी संचारिणी.
Thank you. That was very, very nice. Let's all just take a moment in silence to pray to Durga Devi. Today, let's pray for that strength of acceptance. If somebody in our life has to leave, has to go, has to walk away, and because they're seeking something higher, let's pray to her. Bring that person in mind and pray to her to have that acceptance and that strength to let go. And if there is no such person, then let us pray for ourselves, the ability to let go of all the things that don't really matter. Om. Now, take a flower, pushpam, anything, any negativity in our heart that we wish to offer from today, from whenever it is, keep that close to your heart as a flower, and let's offer it to Durga Devi so that she may in turn give us fragrance and give us positivity for the negativity that we offer. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Pushpam Samarpayami. Now we'll do the Pradakshina Namaskara. So you can do this clockwise 3 times. Those of you who can stand and do. Yani kani cha papani janmantarakritani cha tani tani vinashyanti pradakshina pade pade. For Pradakshina to Durga Devi, Shri Durgaye Namaha, Pradakshina Namaskaram Samarpayami. If your mother, your wife, sister, daughter is there, please also do Namaskara to them. They are also Durga Devi. Please also seek their blessings. Now we'll have the Prarthana, where we tell Durga Devi that though we don't do puja like this to you every day, may our thoughts, words, and deeds be a puja unto you. Kayena vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhava karomi yadya sakalam parasmai Narayanaye samarpayam. Narayanaye samarpayam. You take a little bit of water in your palm to signify that the puja is ending. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Then we'll do the Udvasanam, where we will call Devi back to our hearts. She's come here, so now let's call her back to our hearts. So your left hand on your heart, your right hand here. Om Tishta Tishta Parasthane Swasthane Shri Parameshwari Yatra Brahmadayo Devaha Sarve Tishtanti Mehvadi. So now she's come back to our hearts. And now we will do the Shanti Mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om everyone.